like our manhood, I mean, our population of men and straight men, I mean, heterosexual men, have been impacted majorly because these young brothers go to prison and they get thrown to the wolves. You know what I'm saying? And when you listen to his story in depth and realize that he's never had the experience of actually knowing what being with a woman feels like.
He said his first sexual experience was with a man.
Right, and that's
in
because
prison.
right, and that's
Right.
because once again of his environment.
Of his environment.
hmm
He didn't get the chance to be with a woman.
And this is my perspective, right? If I'm doing a stretch in the pen, and I thank God because I will not be going there. I mean, let's just make that clear.
100%.
I'm not even living like that, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm a young man facing some time in there, my mind is already switched off from the outside world. I'm looking straight at what this world is gonna look like inside of these walls, right? And I'm one of those guys. I'm gonna get me a guard.
I come from a troubled past, the mind of a double standard. I write with the other hand. You might misunderstand them. Just take a closer look. You can see the bread upon us. I make history for a living. Men of honor.
What up, good people? Good afternoon. Welcome back. You're now tuned into another episode at The Potent Perspective. I am your host, Hash Potent. Joining me is my right-hand brother, Ken Gamboa.
Back.
Ken, what's good with you, brother?
We're back.
Back. And I ain't gonna lie, it's good to see him. It's good to see you, brother. It's been a minute. Yeah. I know you've been tied up at work and stuff like that, so
in the grind, trying to get on top and stay on top.
Mm-hmm. How was your week?
Week has been amazing. Hard work, staying focused, staying on a single mission,
grounded, right?
And accomplishing little small goals.
Yeah.
Change your little small goals, you start to see that everything else starts changing around you too. Oh man, so it's been a grind. It's been progress, and I'm really appreciative about this week so far.
Brother, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you. What about you, Ash? What's your week look like?
My week has been blessed. I am on a spiritual journey where I'm forced. I also by choice, but I'm forced to walk closely with God as He directs my steps with what tomorrow holds for me, you know what I mean? And that's on a general scale. As far as, growth is concerned, finances is concerned, relationships, all of that, I have to really stay close to God so that He can direct my steps.
It's important.
Because the saying that it's not good for a man to be alone, it should be a picture of my face right there. I know I'm not the only one though. It's probably a lot of brothers walking this way. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But it's definitely a challenge. But I'm thankful for the lessons learned right now. So I cannot complain. I'm blessed to have enjoy what I have. I'm thankful for this platform. As you can see, we did some drastic moderations. I want to take a minute. I just brought Ken into the spot today and
didn't even notice it when I first walked in. I greet Hash and I just see from my peripheral vision, some dark, right? Darker than usual because if you watch the previous episodes, you not seeing all of this.
You didn't see all
the change
of this,
is from a 0 to 100, literally like that. So as I walk in, I didn't notice it, but then when my vision actually corrected itself and I pay attention, I was just thrown aback by the upgrade that this section where we shoot these videos has received. Amazing, man.
So let me ask you, from first observation, what was the first thing you noticed?
The mink carpet. The mink carpet, y'all.
Yeah.
It feels like heaven on my feet.
On your feet.
It's crazy.
Mel walked up in here and sat down, and I'm talking about couldn't keep from moving her feet like this against the floor because it feels so good.
I understand why a lot of the cribs back in the 70s had like meat carpet and whatnot. You know, it's just imagine.
It feels amazing.
Imagine making love to.
Imagine
making love to your lady on this mother.
You about to slide on some shit?
Yeah, no, man. Listen, that you're gonna be in the hospital in the labor area, wing of the hospital.
Yeah, your stamina game better be on fleek.
Right, man. It's crazy.
Cause you're gonna be sliding. But yeah, I did made some alterations to the studio. As you can see, we kind of filled the wall up with sound panels, so our sound projection should be a lot better. You know what I mean? I've done add some white roses to the both the alterations, the arrangements, the floral arrangements. Added these beautiful couches that we are both sitting on, and that was it. Oh, this baby right here, just put that in the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I remember when he ordered it.
Yeah. But anyway, man, it feels great in here. I'm thankful that I could share this type of space with my people. My brother here with me. And we're going to continue to upgrade. Before we get into this, I just want to take the time to say, if you guys have been enjoying what we've been delivering on this platform, please subscribe, follow, and share. It would do us major justice right now. You know what I mean? Subscribe, follow, share, and not in that order. You know, and if you're trying to find our platform, it's going to be The Potent Perspective, all in one word. ThePoetin, Perspective, Perspective, all in one word. And hit that subscribe button, right? Because we're going to continue to do this. You guys are going to get familiar with us, and we want to get familiar with y'all.
It's not going to stop.
It's not going to stop. You know? Even if I don't see him a couple of weeks, best believe we're going to get straight to it when I see him, right?
I'm in the background.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Now, today we have a very interesting topic, something that I've been wanting to get into for some time now. And we've ran across the subject briefly. And it's one of those things that, you know, it's probably talked about, but I don't hear much of it. You know what I mean? And that is basically the effects that mass incarceration has on, or should I say, long-term sentences, and how it can affect a young teenage boy that is thrown into the system from as young as 16, right? And the importance of, you know, his interaction with a female. Now, once again, I'm not advocating for, you know, criminal activities, right? I feel like if you are a young teenager and you commit a crime at 16, you should be old enough to be conscious that there's going to be some form of consequences behind committing crime, right? So in no way are we advocating for criminal activity, right? But our topic tonight circles around the idea of what if they were to allow conjugal visits. Is that the proper term?
Yeah.
Meaning to allow this young man to have some form of interaction with a female primarily for the purpose of securing him sexually, or securing his sexuality or his sexual preference. Because I believe by 16, you already know you've developed a sense of attraction for the opposite sex, right?
Younger than that.
Even younger, right? So, and this is all in my opinion, and this is not in any way throwing shade to the LGBTQ community. You know what I'm saying? I call it to the company,
It's a
my
company
bad.
now.
But just so that, because I feel like if these young men were allowed to have some form of sexual interaction, it would prevent on a large scale the damage, the psychological damage, as well as the physical damage of being sexual victimization is the term that I seen when I Googled it earlier, right?
Mm.
Or being violated sexually in prison by another man, right? Just to preserve the manhood. I feel like our manhood, our population of men and straight men, heterosexual men, have been impacted majorly because these young brothers go to prison and they get thrown to the wolves. You know what I'm saying? And while I'm not advocating, once again, we're not advocating for criminal activity, because to the brothers, if you commit a crime, you got to expect that there's going to be consequences. But for the sake of preserving manhood, or giving a young heterosexual male a chance at understanding and fully developing or experiencing a healthy development of where he stands sexually, I feel like we could preserve, because I think the system, they're thinking, no, he's a minority, punish him, throw him to the wolves, and he gonna have to get it how he live, right? But me as an outsider, and me and Ken done sat and covered a few footage on contents where we've been looking at Fleece Johnson's story.
That's what brought up the subject. Really.
That's what brought up the subject. And
for those of you who don't know who Fleece Johnson is, he basically became popular many years ago. The Booty Warrior.
Yep.
on the Boondocks,
Yep.
one of the great shows, and he was released recently, and he's been kind of all over the internet and YouTube, getting very intimate one-on-one interviews. And we from the beginning, from his first, was like, man, that's absurd, Booty Warrior, absurd, man. Yeah. But then when he actually talks about his life and the things that he's gone through, it is some real sad, tragic stuff.
Thought-provoking.
Very thought-provoking. And so that interview really inspired today's episode.
Conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I empathize, because it's so many young men who, the physical makeup of a 16-year-old is not what we would consider fully prepared for even defending himself.
A lot of boys 16, they haven't even grown into a man body
yet. Yeah.
Some, yeah, but that's not normal.
No.
Not everybody is 16 looking like Bo Jackson.
No, they're not.
It varies. So yeah, it's a terrible environment to put a 16-year-old in.
Exactly.
100%.
And then, to add to that, from a health perspective, the young people today, average teenager, not really taking the best care of himself, to be honest with you.
Not really. So they're not really developing physically peak.
No.
They regressing physically.
Exactly.
But like you said, Hash, there needs to be a reform within the prison system, because, like, man, like, you got guys in there as men, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you a man with a healthy sex drive, Flea said something really interesting.
Oh yeah,
he said, you put somebody, right? Let's say what you was doing out here, you was very sexually active out here, whatever you was doing. Just because they go in, that drive doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away. It's
right.
True. As a matter of fact, it really, to my opinion, just started.
Yeah, exactly.
16, you really still, getting to know yourself.
You still getting to know yourself. Your puberty peak is hitting. Hormones are changing and rearranging. Mm-hmm. And even for the ones that have gone through there, they're still a man. They still want to be with a woman. They still. The fact that you are closed off from expressing yourself and even touching a woman, Do you think that that does some damage to a man psychologically, especially being in prison? And man, they could probably get a visitation, but they can't kiss, they can't be intimate, make love to their woman. Do you think that has negative effects on a man?
Absolutely, because like I don't know, because I've never been in the penitentiary per se, but I I, be, I believe conjugal visits allows you to touch
Mm-hmm.
somebody. Yeah, I mean your partner if you
Right.
have a few somebody. I don't know to what extent do they allow physical touch, but I definitely believe it does because it's a form of deprivation
Yeah.
and sexual deprivation for a young man with high testosterone is like impeding breathing. Like seriously, you know what I mean?
I think that if you really look at it and you really look outside how men operate, not all men, but how a lot of men operate, it seems like women are like this calming. They can be, right? They can be.
Mm-hmm.
They can be a calming thing for a man. When a man goes to a strip club, right? They feel comfortable around beautiful women, dancing around them, talking to them. It calms a man down from the life of having to be a man, of battling with responsibilities and even going up against another man, having to fight society and this and that, conquering obstacles. That's like my chill space, right?
Yeah.
So when I think of women as it can be a safe space, to deny men that, it makes their world a lot harsher, in my opinion.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. And I too was one of those people who was listen to Fleet's story and just be like, it's just no way. But then when you listen to his story in depth and realize that he's never had the experience of actually knowing what being with a woman feels like.
He said his first sexual experience was with a man.
Right, and that's because
in prison.
Right, and that's because once again of his environment.
Mm-hmm. He didn't get the chance to be with a woman, and they're not getting allowed no visitations from women and no touch, nothing. So these guys were being driven to do things with each other because of that sexual frustration that they was facing. And that's crazy to me,
And the worst thing is, Fleece was incarcerated in the 70s, he said.
Yes, late 70s or 80s.
Right. Mm-hmm. And what was the state he was incarcerated?
Man, I don't remember. I remember what
I need to pull that up. But anyway, he at the time, this was probably considered the worst prison penitentiary system or penitentiary unit to be detained in. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel horrible because in the interview, he just had an interview with, what's his name? What's the guy named? Who you just had?
Adam 22.
Adam 22, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not like
Kentucky State Penitentiary.
Yeah, Kentucky State Penitentiary, right? Mm-hmm. And in the interview, he talks in depth about some of the things that he was exposed to. And when I tell you, it was heinous, in my opinion, right? Because if you put any human being in this type of setting, it's only one or two things gonna happen. Is either he's gonna die in there or he's gonna turn into a major savage.
Yeah.
And Fleece is definitely the epitome of savage. Man. because of what he's been exposed to. And this is what made me think, like, somewhere in the system, and this is if we have to incorporate whether or not the system even cares about preserving our male manhood.
I don't think so. I don't think, we listened to Fleece's story and about what the type of crazy stuff that he was experiencing up in there and he was doing and other people was doing and stuff, and how not only, we're not talking about just inmate to inmate, we talk about prison guards to inmates, how they was abusing. And so, talking about preserving manhood, I don't think they even see you as a man in there, first of all.
Yeah, so that just causes the whole point of the conversation to almost digress. But I would still propose the idea because, to me, if we look at, and this is the depth of what inspired this conversation to me, because I believe that as men, we need to be preserved. It has a huge impact on where our world is today. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we had more solid men, the dynamics would be different. Like the way our world is structured would be in a different direction, because it's not like it's like having a building sit above, it's sitting high off the ground, but there's not enough pillars to hold it up. It just crumbles after a while. You know what I mean? Because I feel like, you know, we're in a time now where like we've clearly, you know, seen there's not much respect on the male figure in the household, and particularly the attack has been directed to minorities and people of color, in my opinion. As always, right? So it's just like I'm thinking, like, you know, we're just having wishful thinking. If they were to implement some form of conjugal visits that allows the young brothers to interact with a woman,
let them bust,
female.
Let them bust with a girl, man. Basically,
yeah,
you know?
basically,
Let them
allow this little nigga to clap cheeks.
Yeah,
basically.
man.
You know what I mean?
I think that would solve the aggression levels a lot in that.
It's true.
It would give them hope. It would let them focus. You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
All that pent up sexual frustration, it can only go a couple ways, man. And most of the time, it's gonna turn violent, right?
Yeah.
If I don't get an interaction with a girl and I can't release my sexual energy in some productive form of way, it turns into aggression, which is why I love the gym. I love boxing and fighting because it goes somewhere. But
it's true.
They're not doing nothing in there most of the time.
It's
you know?
True. It's true. And, you know, I want to say, like, it's almost equal to when if you put a bunch of XL bullies in 1 yard, that's each a year old.
Yeah.
It's finna be bloody in there. But
Facts.
The only thing is, animals, I think their way of expressing their aggression would be
challenging each other.
Right.
Well, I mean, in an environment like that,
right,
you're talking about maximum security lockup penitentiary.
Yeah.
I mean, it's survival of the fittest. Like, you know, you in there, big dog, or sometimes smartest dogs, you know, you got to stay on top of survive somehow. You just can't be meat, you know, for everybody. Right. So, I mean, in an environment like that, it's going to make you super aggressive, right? It's just, man, sometimes just having, like I said, some guys go to a strip club to calm down, to chill. Having that would really chill a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? It would. It just seems like it would, but then at the same time, you brought up another point. A lot of these people, maybe they don't want you to chill. Maybe they don't treat you like a human being. They don't treat you like a man.
It's true.
It doesn't benefit them to their agenda to see you calmer or see you better yourself.
But I would still advocate for it, because I see it to be a solution, because it would definitely prevent a lot of in the closet activity. You know what I mean? Because, you know.
So context to that, right? Fleece was saying how a guy who has multiple years, right, 15 or more, right, they got no hope of ever leaving the system.
Mm-hmm.
That they're not necessarily forced, but they're more inclined to, you know, engage in, you know, homosexual activity.
I ain't gonna lie. I feel like first of all, I would imagine that just going into that type of environment, you would have to have a strong mind. And I, you know, some, and you know, to align with what we're talking
Why
about.
you say strong mind?
Well, to be honest with you, when you think about it, if you're going into a prison system at 16, you didn't really get a chance to develop that mind,
Yeah.
a mature mind, fully, right? So
a good
that's
sense of identity. Yeah.
Now, this thing is so it's so sad because it goes back to the environment in which that young male figure was brought up in, because you got a few things to consider: whether or not his dad was there, whether or not he lived in the hood, and a few other things. Did they have money? Did they have access to resources? Was he denied a lot of opportunities coming up? And these type of things could cost you, a young teenage boy, especially a young man of color, to feel like the streets is his only way out. You know what I mean? But I was 16 once, and I had a limit to where I, what I would partake in the streets, because I knew from early I didn't want to be in the prison system.
Right.
I just didn't want to be there. And because I feel like it goes against everything that I would want to enjoy in life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was one of those things that I was staunch about, and so I aligned myself with a certain type of company or a certain type of environment, which in my case helped. Right now, I did go through incarceration, you know, since I've been in here in Texas, probably 3 times, but I never got to the point where it went to penitentiary, right?
Yeah.
But I've been in the system. It's similar. The only difference is it's a little bit more extreme in the penitentiary with regards to the type of infrastructure they have inside. You know what I mean? The type that there's a system there that they've been forced to correlate as a unit because they're limited.
Yeah.
So now their minds as adapted to living within limits, and that could, that have
different type of people too.
Yeah.
Different type of charges and sentences. Yeah. A lot more
So
extreme.
I mean, while I would say, it's better for you as a young man to kind of stay away from putting yourself in a position where you could end up in the system. It's easier said than done. So I get it, right? But I'm trying to render an idea, if you will, for the young brothers, for the sake of preserving their manhood. Strictly for that, not nothing else. Outside of that, you commit the crime, you gotta prepare to do the time. It's just what it is. And when you're a person of color, the odds is against you. So there's not really no love in the streets for you. So I don't think it's wise. But for the guys who are in there, my heart go out to you, because imagine you 16 and you got to squabble with Fleece Johnson.
Damn, that's crazy.
Could you imagine that?
I just listening to it, just bringing back so much stuff. Like when he had said how the guards had tied him up four prong like that, and it was like 120 degrees up in the dungeon.
In the dungeon, yeah.
And he said, I mean, it sounds funny because of how absurd it is. At least I laughed, but it was like, what? Like he said, he went to sleep and he woke up, and there was like flies all over.
Is it 550?
He said it was just like 500 flies all over his butt crack because that's, and they woke him up. Like it's insane. Like that could be real, but this is was his reality, right?
Yeah, and to me, if you put any young man into this type of environment, you can almost expect, a disaster waiting to happen because it's traumatizing.
You're not gonna come out normal from that.
I don't think so.
No, you can't.
After listening to Fleece, I honestly don't think there's, a therapy session or solution.
He was in the system for 44 years. He served 44 years, so you're right. There is no therapy that can undo 44 years of
Absolutely
the most extreme trauma.
Heinous.
Yeah.
Heinous type of, because you gotta imagine what what I'm saying, what he might have been exposed to in those enclosed spaces, right? So you got the shower, you got the mess hall. They call it the mess hall, but the cafeteria. You got the units where they was locked up at. You know what I mean? These, you got the field. It's a lot of areas where you're open to direct attack or assault from just about anybody. So I think in that environment, I mean, it's just not going to produce anything good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Even more so absent a woman's, touch, because like Ken said, it would calm things. I think it would calm things. And this is my perspective, right? If I'm doing a stretch in the pen, and I thank God because I will not be going there. I mean, let's just make that clear.
100%.
I'm not even living like that, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm a young man facing some time in there, my mind is already switched off from the outside world. I'm looking straight at what this world is gonna look like inside of these walls, right? And I'm one of those guys. I'm gonna get me a guard. Yep.
Yeah, we talked about that. We had a little back and forth. Like, what if she was built like Nutty Professor?
I don't give a damn. She could have been built like Fiona.
Yo, Hash, it's getting hit. It's getting done.
I'm taking her to Pound Town, fam. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a damn. Because at this point, all jokes aside, I need a woman's touch. I gotta have it. I gotta have it.
I heard that. Again, this is just by passing like videos and people's comments. I've heard that happens a lot, man. That just so you gotta like security. Well, what do they call them again?
They call them guards, like
the guards. Yeah, they got a guards, and she might be a woman. And hey, man, in the outside world, this guard is unattractive. She would probably have to pay to get some love and attention out here, but in there, she's Halle Berry.
And there she is, Rihanna.
Yeah.
She will get pounded. You hear what I'm saying?
So you got no problem, right? You, in a hypothetical scenario, penitentiary, doing 15, you got a security guard. Again, she built like Nutty Professor. She's built like she hasn't even said the word diet in years. You would go to work on that.
She is getting folded up in there. I'm talking about feet to chest, nigga.
yeah. She getting stretched out.
She is getting taken to Pound Town on visit number 1.
Yeah.
And once again, we joke about this, but my mind is already acclimated to the fact that I am now going to spend 15 years in this type of setting. She's starting to look like Beyonce to me right now. Yeah, because here's the thing. And this is why we having this conversation, is the point is preserving my manhood. Now, at 16 in the hood, I was already at a place in my mind where I was letting niggas have it. Mm-hmm. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like at 16, it already clicked in my mind, like, you're not about to take nothing from me. I already took all the L's I needed to take before that. And you push me hard enough, it's gonna be a crime scene. Like I was already there, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I could only imagine, and I totally understand where Fleece Johnson was in his mind. The only thing is, I had already got exposed to a female.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, in his defense, I'm saying this in his defense. I had already got exposed to what a female feels like, or being close to a female feels like. I already knew I stood on manhood, you know what I mean? So it was no confusion. And Ken laughed because, me and him be talking about this, but,
Bruh.
go ahead, Ken, go ahead.
Bruh. Okay, so Fleece Johnson, right?
Yeah.
Motherfucker Fleece.
Damn Fleece.
He did what he did within the system, or any other guy facing 10 plus years does some stuff in there, right? Because remember, at the end of the day, he said something like, the reporter asked him, does it make you gay, the fact that you did that in there in the rules? And he's like, no, it don't, it don't make it. That's what he said, right?
Yeah.
So you facing 10 plus years and you do what you do, like, what is your opinion about a man who is serving a significant amount of time? They don't have access to women. Like Fleece said, you got 2,500 inmates, like in Kentucky, right? And maybe 20 or 50 again visitations, from people that actually want to see them. Most of them are lonely as hell. Nobody is caring for them. Nobody's writing them. Nobody's concerned if they wake up the next day. And they decide to engage in some homosexual activity because of the whole environment, the pressure, the loneliness, whatever it is. What do you think about a man like that?
Honestly,
yeah,
I have been in that situation, but only in the county, right? And I know how it feels. I was in a space where I wasn't barely getting any letters or visits, because at that time, maybe the support that I might have gotten mainly came from my mom. And it was saddening, to say the least, right? But it's still not compared to a young man facing a decade behind a yard, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm one of those guys that I would have found me a God. Yeah. Yeah. Say what you want, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm good looking enough to find me a God. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, and that's a positive response to that, right?
Yeah.
The next response would be, I'm gonna die behind my manhood. Like, if we being honest, like I'm one of those guys. Like, Fleece he faced that. And he talked about that one time. One of us is gone.
Yeah.
Right there wherever you confront me or you try to, press the issue.
He said, if I'm going, I know one thing, I'm not going by myself.
Yeah.
Somebody coming with me.
It's going to be a crime scene right there. You know what I mean? And I stand on that shit, but I'm sorry because, like I said, I'm already exposed. I'm attracted to women. Like, I love, if we was to, try to put that in a box, I'm straight for women. You know what I mean? So in my mind, I'm just like, nah, one of us gonna lose our lives today, right here. You know what I mean? Right where you try me is right where, you know what I mean? And, on a serious note, because I'm pretty sure a lot of sections people talk about this, you got weapons that could be made in the penitentiary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you gonna come up short.
So,
you know what I mean?
For a guy that says he's done some stuff inside the pen, but claims to be normal outside.
There's no such thing.
Well, why do you say that?
No such thing, because you've been violated, you've been tampered with. You know what I'm saying?
Tampered evidence.
The
seal's broken.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? If I'm being honest, there's no comeback for you after you you've been violated. I mean, people could say what they want. You know what I mean? Like you've been touched on. Like no, you know, this your chances are. You know, it's gonna affect to me. It affects who you project yourself to be after that because now you're stripped.
Yeah.
You're stripped of the one thing that solidifies you as a man. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm like I say, I'm not against. I'm not trying to challenge any particular community here, but you know what I mean. You know, I'm solid when it comes to what I stand for, like especially with regards to my sexual preference. You know what I mean? Like,
why do you think? Why do you think that you know you can't really have women in prison? You know what when you think about how it's set up, right, or how it's been set up for a period of time, and you try to put yourself in the shoes of the lawmakers and the shoes of people that run the prison complex, why do you think they would be like, no, we're going to take that away from them?
that's a good question, man, because I think that's something that we need to look up because why would they do that? You know what I mean? I mean, I think what it is if I'm being optimistic, they want to enforce consequence. You know, you commit a crime, you're looking at a good chance of being detained or incarcerated, going to jail, facing the judge, all that, right? So I don't think they was trying to be you know, allow
Malicious.
and allow you know, be partial in the dishing out of consequence. You know what I'm saying? Like if you go to jail, the idea is to take away all your privileges that you would enjoy in the free world, right? And like I said, I agree with that 1000%. But from a larger perspective, because of how high the rate is of, you know, the percentage of men that are considered solid men, and you know, which we need, you know, which is so crucial in our world today, as it relates to you know direction for the young males. You know what I mean? Head a household, portraying an or how you say an exemplary figure. You know what I'm saying? Or someone that is gonna you know display the example of what a leader looks like or what a you know solid straight male look like, right? And this is just for the sake of preserving the manhood, you know what I'm saying, of our generation of young men, right? So that's the only point that you know I would like to you know continuously touch on, you know, so it's not coming across as if we're trying to challenge any particular community, but I just feel like it needs to be. I know it sounds crazy,
No,
but
it doesn't.
it needs to be preserved, like in my opinion.
How do you approach a 16-year-old who's going to face consequences, right? Versus a 30-plus-year-old?
It's for me it's very sensitive, man, because I just know how fragile and how unprepared a 16-year-old is for the world, generally speaking, much less mass population of incarceration. Like it's I feel like it's unfair almost, you know what I mean? But once again, you commit a crime, you gotta expect that there's consequence behind it. But I empathize for the young teenage boy because you know, especially if he's one of those that's not like 10 toes down already, like no way he stand type shit.
I mean, no, really, 16-year-old is.
I ain't gonna lie, I know some 16-year-old that's square business. But
you know, when I think about Fleece's story and how a young boy didn't really have a chance to begin with in society, I think he had mentioned that on two or three different occasions, he was sexually molested, you know, and from there, it just led into a snowball effect of self-destruction and lost potential. And that led to being incarcerated for 44 years and seeing some crazy stuff, experiencing some crazy stuff, and committing some crazy stuff. Like it's wild how if you can actually like meet somebody at the right point, or even learn how to communicate with them and actually give them real rehabilitation, you can really change the course of somebody's life. And then if they change their life, they can help people or impact somebody else. And it's like a ripple effect that goes on forever. But it don't seem like the prison system is there to help people or rehabilitate people. Certain things you can't rehabilitate from. Like you're not gonna sit here and you a child molester or you were like a serial killer, a murderer, and just I'm not expecting you to be rehabilitated. And 100% you should face consequences and should not be out in society mingling among decent people. But depending on what kind of crime you do, as far as like the lower severity than that, I think that you should, or the prison system should be more geared towards creating a safe environment, an environment for these men to be able to get therapy, learn, become better people, become how to develop their manhood, develop their person, their spirit, etc., and get things that they probably didn't receive out in the outside world coming up that they could probably get here. Even something as simple as love can go a long way, man. Having, like I said, those visitation rights, or maybe they had a lady on the outside, being able to touch her, being able to make love to her, feeling human, feeling like I'm still a man, I'm still able to be with my woman, my lady, I'm still able to enjoy her. Those things right there, I think, would be able to produce some great citizens to society, but it don't seem like that's the objective when it comes to prison.
Well, it kind of goes back to the point of what that teenage boy might have been exposed to before going to jail. Also, whether or not he had an active dad in the house. All of these things. But what if he didn't? What was he exposed to? Being with his mom. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. But I just feel like if we were to, just allow that to happen for a young teenage boy, it could help a lot. In the long run with regards to securing that manhood. Right now, some people may hear this conversation and probably think it's absurd, but as a man, I feel like it's if we're looking at it from a perspective of where we are as men in our world today, I feel like a lot of the trauma or the traumatization that took place for young brothers who went to jail or committed crime and went to the penitentiary, it devastates. It's a direct shot at the manhood.
A lot of them come out worse.
They come out worse. I don't think it helps much. Now, like I say, I'm gonna keep saying this entire time. If you do the crime, expect that there's a place that they get ready to send you that you're probably not really ready for, right?
Yeah.
And real quick, I want to just implement also, if you guys just tuning in, this is the Pump Perspective. You know what I mean? At this time, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You know what I mean? If you guys find this interesting, And once again, we're touching on the subject of the young teenage boys that get thrown into the prison system. And somewhere along the course of them doing their time, they get what Google states as sexual victimization, you know what I mean? Or what we consider to be violation, you know what I mean, of one's manhood. So, and it's it's just a sad case, you know. And ever since I heard it, it bothers me because I'm just like, man, these young brothers going there, they're not fully developed. Imagine them having to fight for their manhood to 2, 3 guys that's been in there 10 years.
Oh,
You know,
never getting out.
yeah, physically prepared. You know what I mean? And they approach you. What do? You know what I mean? So, but I want to take the time to touch on a few questions too while we're here, man, because I feel like it's important, right? So, this is just a general question. What does consent mean to you in everyday relationships? And why is it important to always seek and respect it?
Consent in everyday relationships. That's a great question.
Uh-huh.
I think, just being considered. What are you comfortable with? What are you okay with? Right?
Okay.
Respecting your boundary and your opinion.
Mhm.
That to me is the sign of like
Consent.
an example of consent between like people, right?
Mhm.
Whether that be friends, professional, or my partner, with her, whoever. Like it just that's consent, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, consent to me is just basically saying that your your choice wasn't stripped.
Mm-hmm.
You wasn't stripped of choice,
Mm-hmm.
or you are okay with the engagement moving forward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like that's something that if it's not consensual, then maybe it's something that you were exposed to,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in your childhood psychologically. You might have seen this type of stuff demonstrated in a household, and it kind of like passed down to you right now. But consent to me, I feel like if you're interacting with a female, and this is where I would, or anybody, you know what I mean, you're in agreement, or you're not stripped of choice. Yeah, it's kind of like a conversation that you and the other person would have, or touch on to see if you both agree on what you're about to engage in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what consent would mean to me. Now, why is it important for us to always seek and respect it? You think?
Seek and respect consent because it's another thing that makes you. It shows from the person that you're dealing with. It shows you as an individual that they respect you.
Yeah.
Right. And for yourself, when you feel respected, when you feel considered, it also, in a way, I mean, it shouldn't come from external things, but at the end of the day, it kind of does matter. Your confidence, sometimes goes up. It makes you feel secure too. If people are respecting you and being considerate towards you, that's gonna make you feel good. Right?
Yeah.
That's gonna make you kind of be okay with you and be able to work on you and give you a sense of confidence in that area. That's
Generally,
yeah,
right?
I think generally.
I think why it's important to always seek it and respect it is because if you don't respect it, there's some consequences to that.
Yeah, besides, violence and all of that, and for sure.
Yeah, it's that is either violence, or in worst case scenario, jail.
Yeah.
Because you force yourself on somebody, especially of the opposite sex, it could end
Oh,
up
we
bad.
talking on that level.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
oh, my bad.
That's the other side. Like,
no.
That's why you gotta respect it.
Like sexual consent.
Yeah. Like basically, that they generalize the question, but it's related to that.
Yeah, no, sexual consent. Yeah, I mean, shit. You don't want to go to jail and shit, on a charge.
Like you try to take something type
Yeah,
shit.
no, like first of all, no, we're not doing that. But if somebody tries to take it from me, somebody gotta go.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like no,
that's what I'm saying.
Ain't no negotiating. Ain't no sitting there and crying. Nah, man. Somebody gotta go. Somebody's going.
And it's one of those things like
You know?
it's easy to joke about, but and I wanna reflect on the movie Lockdown, that starred DeAndre Bonds and Master P. That was a classic. Like Ken didn't see the movie,
Never
but
seen it. Looks like that's my next movie I'm about to watch because about Hash's reaction, it was like, bro, you got to watch it. What? No, where you been?
Yeah, and a few of y'all, I'm pretty sure a few of y'all watched this movie already. Y'all seen what happened? DeAndre Bonds, he went out like a savage. You know what I mean? And the only thing with DeAndre Bonds is, and this is where it relates to our topic so heavily, because if you watch the movie, he was pressed by like 3 dudes and 3 solid, solid niggas. You know what I mean? It was like, I think 2 black dudes and a white boy, or 2 white boys but either way,
so they tried to take advantage of him.
Oh, they took advantage of him.
Oh, they did.
But what it was he went through several episodes of being traumatized psychologically and physically that it took him a minute before he actually retaliated. But when he did, it was a crime scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my thing is, and this depends on when a young teenage boy goes to jail, because in Fleece's case, he never was exposed to a woman, and I feel like that's a big. Fleece is the definition of a kid who was traumatized. If being traumatized to the fullest extent, like somebody who seen the worst, and this is why it touched me when I think about the young brothers that go to jail, because any young 16-year-old could fall victim to what happened to Fleece. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't really say what you would have done because you've never really been in that predicament. But I would imagine for those of us who was already on the path where we know where we stand with regards to our sexual preference, that's a whole different dynamic to me, because Fleece was exposed to it. It was not. He's never been never had the experience of being with a woman, and that I think that's a.
He's a married man now. He's married to a whole woman. I mean?
Yeah.
I
think that's crazy, bro. Man. Yeah, I think that's crazy, bro.
He's been married for a couple years now. He himself he said in the video that some of the booty he experiences prison don't even come close to a lot of the women, that he's been with. So.
Ain't gonna lie.
That's what he said,
I beg to differ, please, bro. I'm sorry, bro. I beg to differ, bro. You have not experienced anything on this earth until you have experienced some good.
Okay, so just for conversational purposes, I need to play devil's advocate with you, Harris.
Watch yourself now.
And I need to make it ignorant a little bit,
Go ahead.
So you get 25 to life, right? You got no hope of touching a woman. You're not gonna do some funny shit.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest with you.
Right.
If, like we say, we can't even address that without addressing the fact,
because that was one of the Fleece's points.
I know, but also you gotta remember, he has never been exposed to a woman.
Right.
Had he been,
well, not him. Right. We talk about even people that he's seen come and go. Right. So let's forget about just him. We talking about, hey, this is what the guys are doing, right?
Okay, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
There's a percentage of guys that's not doing it.
Right.
Yeah, so even in this case, devil's advocate wouldn't work, because I'm in a percentage that I'm not going for it, bro. Like,
okay.
I'm sorry. I'm one of those guys, like, and I say this with all honesty, that's gonna be the day one of us gotta go.
So, and that was gonna be my second devil advocate question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you don't have a choice, right? Like you said, somebody gotta go though. But let's say you put in a position where you can't defend yourself.
No, we're not gonna get in that position.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as long as they making sharp things with sharp edges, you know what I mean, and pokers in there, you gonna come up short. Like,
so you saying you can't be immobilized? Let's say three. I don't know. It's a crazy situation. 3 guys, hold you down.
That's more niggas to open up with the. You know what I mean? Like, to me, if I'm being honest, you know what I'm saying, and like. Yeah. And I'm not, like I said, I'm trying to be easy about how.
I don't think you should.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, you know what I mean. If I'm pressed at all, mm-hmm. you still got choice. Like, to the guys who be like, man, what if your choice get taken away? Mm-hmm. There's no such thing, bro. It's either you standing on that manhood or you not. You feel me? Like, it's one out of the two. So it's like, as long as they making.
So you saying, okay, so for the guys, and again, this is not talking down on nobody, mm-hmm. Laughing. I mean, we laughing, but it's not, we're not like laughing at people's pain and misfortune, right? At least, that's how I see it. For those guys that did do it, right?
Did do what?
Let's say they did some homosexual funny activity within the prison. They said, well, I was forced to. I had no choice, et cetera, et cetera. You shaking your head already, bro. You shaking your head already. Exactly. Please expand on that.
All right, so I'm gonna wait till Ken finishes.
No, I ain't even got to finish. Okay. Expand, because you shook your head no already.
No, right. No, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I've been a solid guy my whole life, right? I knew where I stood from the time I was like probably this tall, right? Y'all see what David did to Goliath, right? All right. As long as David's story is prevalent, you don't got no excuses, bro. You don't got no excuses. David, go back to the story of David and Goliath. Ken laughing, but
this is so funny, right?
This right here is very, very prevalent to my perspective, right? Now, I just know me, dog. Like, one of us is going. There's no compromise. And I say that because I feel very comfortable in where I am as a man, right? But in my experience, man, I've seen so many niggas size me up. And I've been in the system a couple times, man. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't really have to say much because I never got approached by a guy in person.
Yeah.
Right? Niggas size you up, bro. I'm trying to be modest about this, but it's really a serious topic, right? So I've seen where people pick and choose who they fool with, right? It depends on your aura.
Yeah.
Like me and Ken was in the car, we talking about that. Yeah, there's no such thing as you was born that way. You know what I mean? Like it's either, unfortunately, you've been exposed to some form of being molested or being in a situation where you was, violated is the word I would like to use, but a more subtle term would be, you was exposed to something that was traumatizing to your mind as a child. Yeah. It's unfortunate, right? Some form of sexual abuse. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, I was never exposed to that. I never grew up in a house where this type of thing happened. Thankfully, even when we was young and we spent the night at family and friends' house, we didn't see this type of behavior, right? So, but, with regards to some people who were, it's an unfortunate place for you to be because you're not in a place where you could defend yourself or have someone defend you. So after, being in a place where I had already made my mind up. I was already on a path that led, more towards someone who is heterosexual, you know what I mean? Someone who is straight. I stood on that my whole life, man. I never had no issues, especially with guys, you know what I mean? Like for some reason, I feel like you have to possess a certain type of energy for like a dude that is like that to push up on you. You know what I mean? And that's amusing to Ken, but to me, I never had it. So, I'm not trying to challenge, the community at all. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, I never had that. Like, guys don't really just, they could tell right off the muscle, like, you know what I mean? Like, nah,
oh, no,
he's
yo,
not. Yeah,
well,
he's
I
not
mean,
the one.
I don't know if you want to share the story. You did say, I mean, not face to face, right? But you did have
a gay guy, yeah. So
shoot a shot,
right? So I've experienced that about. I remember I was working at the shop, and I was working at 32 Degrees.
Yeah.
And during that time, I had a few clients that were gay. You know what I mean? And they come sit in the chair. And I've had this happen to me maybe 2 or 3 times where a gay guy, never in person, these niggas never push up. They never say nothing in person, right? And that's a good thing for them, you know what I mean? And for me as well.
Well, obviously they intimidate.
Right. So a lot of times they don't have, they don't have this type of guts. Now, I don't know if Ken laughing because he's been pushed up on and he dealt with this in a different way.
You know what?
But that shit is not something that happened to me. You know what I'm saying? So
you know what? For me, I have been in person, but it's more like it's been two instances, like 2 different instances where, remember what I told you about the friendship part, right? Unfortunately, that's led into, maybe that person like guys, that guy like guys, and I tried, my best not to. I'm pretty tolerant, and so I don't, just because I'm not gonna talk to you now like that. You're a human being to me, but then that for some reason that's led into that person feeling not comfortable to that now they can express some type of sexual desire to me, knowing that I'm not like that, but you still feel like you need to express yourself like that to me. That bothers me,
Wait. So he came on to you?
Yeah.
Like touched you?
Not touched me, but like confessed, attraction towards me. But I'm not like that. As a matter of fact, you hear me all the time talk about how my experience with women and things like that. So
what gave you?
What gave you the
exactly that you rock with that?
Right? Do you think you could change somebody? Because no, that's not respectful. But and then the second instance, like I've been approached by men who feel confident enough to tell me that I may be handsome to them or whatnot. It's like, okay, well, thank you, but I don't, but they don't know that, they just shooting their shot, right? And I have to say, I appreciate that, but that's not the way that I roll.
The way you come,
and you keep it respectful, Now, if you cross that boundary now and you try to be a salesman after somebody done told you that, that's a whole different ball game, But anyways, back to what you were saying about the instance where they got pulled up on you.
So, like I said, I'm thinking about because it never happened to me in Trinidad. My 16 years in Trinity, I never had that happen.
In Caribbean, right? That's taboo.
Right? Oh, they don't play that shit. Yeah. And my day when I was coming up in Trinity, man, it would turn into violence real quick. It would nothing be funny. Like he laughing, nothing would be funny. You know what I mean? Like it could be bad for if you were swinging that way, right? Now, and you could laugh in a safe space, but you come from where I came from, they didn't play those games. You know what I mean? So it just wasn't a thing, right? But when I came to the United States, the entire time I've been here, I have never been pressed by anybody on the other side. You know what I mean? In my physical presence. I've never had that, right? And that speaks for itself. You know, to me, I didn't give off like, oh, you could come push up on me.
Now, why do you? Well, okay, but then they still shot their shot.
But they shot it on text though. They pushed up on you. So
I don't know. Like I said, I try not to be non-threatening to people.
Oh yeah, nah, you need to start threatening niggas. Maybe you need to start threatening niggas, bro.
No, because like for me, again, I try to be tolerant towards people, and I try to learn from people, no matter like the background of what they like. Like, look, I don't give a fuck what you do in your bedroom. You know what I'm saying? Just respect me, right? If I got a boundary, if I say that I'm okay with this and I'm not okay with that, respect me. Respect me as a human being, respect me as a man, and we don't have a damn problem, But once you start doing some stuff that I'm not okay with, that I don't like, now we got problems,
Yeah. No, I feel like, and this is just my perspective, right? Your energy is gonna attract what it attracts. To me.
So you telling me I attract gay?
No. Yeah. I'm not even. I mean, to me, like,
cause you said they okay talking to me, but they're not okay talking to you.
Well,
in person,
respectfully, right?
Oh,
respectfully, because since I've known you, you've been a straight male to me.
Yeah.
So I can't put you in a bracket. I could only speak for myself. You know what I mean? It's just what it is. Like, I don't really have, never in my life have I had a dude press me in person. I just never had that. And, I'm happy that it never happened, because, that would have been a problem right off, off the muscle.
Okay, so let's put that into perspective, right? First of all, let's get your reaction on, you were pressed up on via text.
Right, via text,
okay,
right?
Via text.
So
what was your reaction towards that?
Okay.
Yeah.
So when it happened, it happened on 2 occasions. And I ain't gonna lie, I remember exactly how it happened, right? Yeah. One of the dudes was a client who got a service from me. Right? And he tried to make it look like he texted the wrong person.
Wait,
it was the weirdest thing.
Wait, how did so what did it take?
So let me finish. So, and he keeps laughing, but I'm trying to convey a point. Right? I don't know what's so funny to him about this, but this is amusing to him for some reason, right? Now, one of the dudes I remember, he got a haircut for me, and he tried to, shoot a text like he texted the wrong person. It was the funniest thing, right? And, I was like, what? It was on some, yo, what you doing tonight? Or it was on some, I think the way he texts his dude, he thought he was texting me, right? And I'm like, what you doing? Or something crazy to that extent. No. What you mean what I'm doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm oblivious because I'm like, because the way he started the text, I think it was like something to the extent of with some sort of flirtatious term in the text, right? So I knew he was talking to the wrong person, so I responded like...
So you couldn't mistake it from like he's maybe, like my client's invited me out or nothing that.
No. Yeah. No, it wasn't one of those at all. Yeah. It was clearly like he texted the wrong dude, right? So I immediately responded like, nah, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you know what I mean? Because I read off the muscle, I could detect, all right, this is a weird text. So I just like responded. And sure enough, he tried to come back with, wait, ain't this such and such? No, nigga, what is you talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, this is hash. And then when then he kind of tried to follow up in a smooth way, like, you know what I mean? And right there, I was like, I immediately had to stop him, you know what I'm saying, and make the conversation short.
Yeah.
Long story short, I had to block him.
Damn.
Yeah, I had to block him because it wasn't like I was going to welcome him back for another service. You feel what I'm saying? Because he threw himself out there as a lame, right? Now, once again, this is not a joking matter to me because, to be quite honest with you, I stand on what I stand on, and, you know, I thank God that nobody never crossed that, like never. You know what I mean? I'm
so
a
you
grown
lost
man.
a customer that night.
No, I was blessed. Yeah, because all money is not good money. You feel me? And it's a difference. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of those guys that you can't swindle me with money. So, you know, that won't do nothing to me. But then the other guy shot his shot. Now, this is a dude who I've been cutting for a long time.
Damn.
He comes in it. He can't used to come in the shop, and he would sit in the chair, get his haircut, and leave. Right. Well, one day I guess he was feeling saucy. I don't know what it was. It was like
conversations had though, right? Like y'all would chop it up, you know.
No, we didn't talk much because this is the thing with, you know, and just my experience. I'm not really that way. You know, I'm a straight male, so it's like.
No, I'm not saying like that, but it's just, you know,
conversation.
Like you. I've seen you talk to your I've seen you talk to your clients and everything. Like, you know, you talk about a whole variety of subjects, like maybe
it's a whole conversation.
Yeah, maybe they vent and you give your 2 cents, you know, like that.
But once again, in my experience, like the guys who go that way, they don't really talk much to me in the chair.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it's like one of those things, like an understood thing. It's like the energy is understood, like. And a lot of times, these guys done already checked you out. They done checked out your profile. They done been watching you. They know how you swinging. You know what I mean? So then they size you up. So they're like, nah, this nigga don't look like the type that, you know what I mean, you could just push up on. Like, I never gave that off. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying this for myself. I'm strictly saying this based on what people have projected about me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've never been the guy that, you know, is known for niggas pushing up on you.
Yeah.
I just don't, and that's not no disrespect to anybody else because everybody different. But every time someone has, you know, referred to me or referred to Hash, I fit a character of a straight male. Like, I've always been in that type of bracket, right? So with that comes a certain line of respect. You know what I mean? There's certain things like niggas just wouldn't do. You know what I mean? And then my experience, what I've seen in and out of jail, niggas pick and choose who they fool with. You know, they pick and choose who they try. They pick and choose who they, you know, try to bully or attack. Like, niggas pick and choose. So your presence says a lot. Your energy says a lot. I promise you, I've never been the type of guy that been known to be doing a lot of this, like talking loud, or I feel like I had to defend myself. I promise I ain't really talk too much, majority of my life. You probably will never see me in like this outburst of verbal. The most argument I've had, no lie, is probably in relationship. Like, that might be the most, where we having a disagreement.
I mean, one thing, man and man arguing, not really. Ain't no need for all that.
Nah.
At a certain point, it's like, all right, bro. Like, you disagree, I disagree. Either we can agree to disagree, or we could just go to blows. Like,
it's true.
With a woman, it's a little different because it's just genuine frustration. Like, I mean, sometimes a woman can pull the worst out of you.
Yeah. But
sometimes you just genuinely want to, like, you want her to understand you, and you don't know how, and it just comes out as, you know, screaming and frustrated, arguing and whatnot. But hold up. So back to the client. Repeating client, been sitting in your chair for many years, right? And then they get bold enough to do with the following.
Well, like I said, these two that I remember,
because you got through the first one. The first one with
the mistake.
Try to play off.
Nah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, like after that, you know, the only thing left for me to do was to just discontinue any type of contact.
Yeah,
which is what I would have did right off the muscle. But of course he would. He himself was too embarrassed to even think about rescheduling because he already knew, like, yo, you already messed up, man. Like, there's no way you can't even sit in my chair because I wouldn't even feel comfortable with you. You know what I'm saying? So, and the other guy, he didn't come. He never came back either because one of those things. Like, I had to tell him, like, look, I'm gonna just be real honest with you.
What did he say though?
No, he said he thought I was fine.
So he straight up didn't avoid, like the other guy was like,
yeah, the other guy tried to be slick, but yeah, you know what I mean, like,
but this one just
he's like, he thought I was fine, he thought, you know, I was sexy or something like that. But he's saying all this in text,
right, and
I just kind of told him, like, man, look, listen, bro, I don't swing that way at all, you know what I mean, and I don't want to come off disrespectful, but you know, I don't rock like that at all.
You kept it classy.
Oh yeah. Because my thing is I don't have to, you know, try to be all aggressive and show muscle. No, it's unnecessary. I'm gonna just tell you straight up, hey, look, man, I don't rock like that. And as they normally respond or would respond, he respected it. It wasn't another statement after that. It was like, okay.
But he never came back.
Never.
But you didn't have to tell him don't come back.
Nope, I didn't have to.
Yeah. So had he tried to come back, right? And what's your opinion about that? You know, guy like him, he shot a shot. You shot him down, but he still wants to remain the customer.
Nah. Okay, so I think, and this is a part about me that I know. I feel like I've maintained a strong presence with regards to my energy, right? So, you know what I mean? And then I came up from and this would be the situation for anybody that has been raised in the environment I was, right?
This is Caribbean talking, right?
Yeah. This shit goes deep. Like this, like none of this is funny to me, to be honest with you. Like this is where I come from. People,
I know.
Yeah, people get killed. Like none of this is amusing to me. Like there's nothing funny about two dudes. You know what I mean? So it's kind of one of those things where, you know, that's the energy that I give off default. Like I'm not trying to, it's not like I'm trying to perform. It's like, you know, my body language, my aura, my energy already say, okay, this nigga is a stand-up solid male. There's nothing confused about him, you know what I mean? You ain't gotta worry about, if this nigga got a funny bone in him. Ain't shit funny in these bones. You feel what I'm saying? So it's kind of one of those, like, I'm not trying to project any type of aggression onto, you know, other men who might go that way. If that's what you do, that's what you do. But you gonna respect this square right here. That's just how I'm coming about it. You know what I mean? So, and you know, I stood on that. It's not one of those things that I ever had to, you know, put up a flag about. It's like, it's already understood how I'm rocking. So that's how my experience be. So, you know, I didn't have the experience of dudes pushing up, like, you know what I mean? And like I said, I would say this, you know, when they say birds of a feather flock together, is basically the same thing to me. That you're not gonna want to be in my company because I don't live this way. You know, there's nothing me and you could do together. You know, we can't go chill. You know, you're not finna see me at the bar. You know what I mean? Putting a glass up with you, none of that. Yeah, I'm not that guy. Like real talk. You know what I mean? Like I surround myself with, you know, solid-minded men. Like if we hanging, best believe the dude next to me is solid. That's just how I've always been. And that's been by default. It's not something that I had to go out and search for. It's like I was already a leader myself. So I think I just attracted similar minds, you know what I mean? So it wasn't really hard for me. It never been hard for me to, you know, I feel like men who are solid in what they stand on is the type of brothers that I share energy with, you know what I mean? So it wasn't hard for me with regards to, you know, guys who was on the other side. Like I never was with that, you know what I mean? So it wasn't something that I had to perform. Like if it, and it was like one of those things we stood on and we didn't have to speak too much about. Like, if you press a stand up solid dude who stands on these morals, you know how far to go with him, and that's just how it's been with me. So I never had. There was no like I didn't feel threatened by them. I never felt like opposed. It was like you on that side, I'm on this side. You know what I mean? Good luck. You know what I mean? Type shit.
And so
yeah.
So, with that being said, back to, the prison system and how a lot of these people, these men are like the story of Fleece, are driven to same-sex relationships within the prison because, of being taken advantage of the crazy stuff and abuse that goes on in there. What is something that you would recommend, let's say your man watching this video, he might be going in, or they might even know somebody that's going in, right? What is the best defense to prepare for such a harsh environment, would you say?
I think, and this is just my honest opinion on that, if you're a young teenage boy going into the penitentiary system, before going in, you have to know what side you stand on, right off the muscle. And I'm gonna be stiff about that simply because you're going in. There's no negotiation. You already passed the part of could you have a chance to walk free, or you're already going in. Your mindset should change right away, right? So if you're going in, you should already know what side you're on. It's either you're gonna stand up or you're gonna fold. That's a decision that's made, in my opinion, prior to going in. So with that being said, that's gonna alter the outcomes of your experience in jail. Now, if you got stand up in you, you're gonna stand up. You're gonna be ready to die behind your manhood and the decision that you making as a man moving forward, right? If you're a solid man and you already stand up, I would say find you a guard. Find you a female guard, man. You know what I mean? That's somebody that, and I'm talking about, you know what it is. You got that lion in you. You know what I mean? You see something, you press up on her. Make sure you're consistent until you and her are locked in. Because a lot of times, what even seems crazy is a female that is in the free world working in the system would commit herself to a dude doing time.
There's a lot of girls that do that, actually.
Yeah.
There's a whole plethora of women that on the mailing list sending guys that doing time for 25 years trying to be their girlfriend and everything when they get out. There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Man.
And I've heard that, and I could be wrong, but I've heard this conversation in the past. The female believes that the reason why she would commit to a situation like that is primarily because he's not going nowhere. I think it's crazy.
What you mean, like he's not going nowhere? Like he's always gonna need her. Basically?
No.
Or
he's physically not going nowhere.
Yeah, that's facts.
Man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and once again, this is where I feel like females are unique in the way that they're wired mentally, because a chick would look at that and see like, you know what? I could see myself being loyal to you. Now, if you're working in the system, I don't know how you will align quality time being spent, but I would imagine, once again, they're abiding by a certain systematic way of living in there already that they could pull this off. But yeah, as female, I would say tell a young man, you know what I mean, find you a guard. You know what I mean? Cause me, if I'm separated from the outside world, I got my mindset already right off the muscle. I'm going to graduate. I'm going to go get some sort of education while I'm in there. I'm going to get my weight up. Like, I'm talking about to the point where my physical is something superb. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get into boxing. I don't care who I got to go through. I'm gonna make sure that these hands is certified while I'm in there. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna get me a female. You know what I mean? I'm gonna find a guard. That's just me. I'm gonna find a guard that, you know what I mean, that she don't gotta be all that too. She could just be something genuine from the heart. And I'm gonna do that whole stretch with her. Yeah, you know what I mean. That's just me. If I'm keeping it 1,000, like I'm not, and I'm serious about that. You know what I mean. Like I don't care what I gotta do. I'm one of those guys. If I know I'm in a situation where I'm about to face a stretch, oh, I'm a sharpshooter. I'm already a sharpshooter. I'm getting straight to something. Real talk, because I know it's something I'm gonna need. Now, I also have a strong sense of discipline to where I would tune out that desire for a while. Like that, the thought of that's where I would have to control, you know, my sexual energy. Like it
Let's
would
talk
be
about that, because that's another aspect
Mhm.
that a lot of guys really confronting, controlling, and having sexual discipline around your sexual energy. What does that look like?
So I think for me, because I've been in this type of situation, sexual discipline is one of those things for a man, especially to me, if you're a solid man. Um, Once you get put in this type of setting, it seems like a switch turns off, in my opinion, with regards to any type of sexual desire. Because now you're not. I don't know. It's just something that's about being confined that would detach you automatically from the idea of having sex. 'Cause
Yeah.
now it's affecting your subconscious.
Right.
So it's not like you're not in a normal setting where you could interact with females. So it's like that switch goes off to me. So I feel like that's not something that necessarily has to be turned off. I feel like it automatically turns off. And because I've been there, you know, you're not really thinking. You're more in isolation. You're more on borderline depression. You're sad. You're not really thinking about having sex. You're trying to figure out how you can get out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a switch to me that goes off. And I think in the transitions that I've went through, it's one of those things that it becomes mental, if it's even a thing at all. And what I mean by that is like, you might have experienced a wet dream. I've had that. And that probably would be my best way to get that type of energy off, because other than that, when I'm awakened or I'm woke, I'm not really thinking about sex. My mind is focused on the environment, you know what I mean, watching my back, you know what I mean, paying attention to what's going on in the cell, in that whole section. And just, always being on my toes. Like I don't really think, niggas be thinking about sex much. It's one of those buildups that just happens naturally. But if you're thinking consciously, niggas not looking around just waiting to just see who they could smash. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's just not on the mind.
Yeah.
So I feel like it goes back to what I said. If you're that type of man, it's something that you already acclimate to, just walking in there into that type of environment. So, it's just a switch that goes off. You know what I mean? Now, if you see it, you running, I don't been in a situation, even if you see something fun, in traffic while you in there, you basically might just, you know what I mean? You might, if she looked at you, you might get an eye contact, if she even looks at you, because a lot of times females see her, they be stiff. You know what I mean? Especially in the county. Yeah. But if you got action, like that's what they said in the county, you got action. You know what I mean? If you got action, you follow up. But a lot of times, and I've never been in a penitentiary, so I can't speak on that, but I've heard about it enough to know I'm one of those guys who I would have got me a guard. So, you know what I mean? It's just, I'd have found me a female guard. I would have first tried to find the most attractive one, but you know what I mean? If I'm being honest, but if I couldn't get that, I'm not picky. You know what I mean? I would take one for the team. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'd take one for the team because, I'm already looking at doing a stretch. I'm not finna, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm one of those guys that's gonna stand on that. Like it ain't gonna be no, conversation in the free world. Oh, when he was inside, he used to. No, that's not me. Yeah, that's not my thing. You feel what I'm saying? Like
we saw him do X, Y, Z.
Yeah, nah, it ain't gonna be that type of story. Cause you know what I mean. They're gonna be like, nah, you might cut. Being that I cut hair, I would have been cutting hair for sure. But other than cutting hair alone would have provided for everything I needed in there, right? But I'm just saying the type of mindset I would adapt if I'm facing time, right? But yeah, man, you gotta be solid from before you get in there. You gotta be solid, right? And you gotta know what you stand on. If you in them streets, just know that the streets don't love us. They don't got love for us. You know what I mean? From the regular people to the blue uniform people, they're not on our side. So you're coming up against heavy obstacles. You know what I mean? You're putting yourself in the way of obstacles that almost can't be moved unless you got some serious pockets, you know what I mean? So these are the things that I would, put on the mind of a young teenage boy inside of a situation like that, you know what I mean? All right, so we kind of, we got into quite a bit of, content for tonight's discussion, but
y'all got an hour and 30 minutes of content. Maybe might be shorter.
Yeah, Ken might be. Yeah, Ken is. We knocking some time right now, but what I would say is, and then there's definitely, most likely, there's going to be a part 2 to this discussion, right? So, maybe we could, welcome some guys who been in the system, you know what I mean, and actually can kind of tell their story on what they might have been exposed to, right? But what I want to sum up in this conversation is, let's try to for the young teenage boys, you guys gotta find another outlet, besides anything criminal. You know what I mean? A lot of times the young guys, you guys are all influenced by the music. You know what I mean? It causes y'all to behave a certain way, and I told my son a couple times, like, he thinks that you could separate the influence of the music from entertainment. It's entertainment, but for a 16-year-old, it's influence. It's more so influence, and it's hard to shake influence because if you put something enough into your subconscious, before you know it, you're behaving a certain way, and it projects in your behavior, right?
Entertainment is influence.
Yep.
If you expose yourself enough time to that entertainment, it always leaves an impression.
Yep.
Movies are for entertainment purposes only. But when you see Denzel in Training Day, you wanted to be a badass just like him. You wanted to have that strong energy just like him. Everything has a little impact on you. So you right, Ash. Absolutely, I agree with that.
Yeah. So there's many different activities for you to get into. As a young teenage boy, there's sports, there's after school activities, you know what I mean? There's the gym, there's endless hustles. I'm talking about you could create t-shirts, you know what I mean? You could be some sort of coach, you know what I mean, for football, basketball, sports in general, you know what I mean? There's music, you know what I mean? There's a lot of different genres that you can become a part of. You know what I mean? There's
learn how to start fixing cars.
Yep.
You could start learning how to fix cars. Mechanics charging the arm and the leg to go to the dealership. You could do it if you live in an apartment complex. If people see you fixing the car, your own car. If you got a car, man, listen, you can start charging and set up your own business just like that. Just starting like that. You know what I'm saying? Learning how to lay brick, learning how to work with your hands, like all of these things are very useful.
And before you even have a license, it's all about how you present yourself. People would literally commit to you just because of how you present yourself to them, right?
That's right.
So even if you don't have a license, if you you have some level of professionalism about you, you would be surprised. Folks know you for a specific craft that you're passionate about. They are going to come to you for that service for a lifetime almost. If you present yourself as someone that stands as an entity, as an individual with some form of professionalism about you, people are going to commit to you. So it's different ways. Let's kind of wing off of this idea of having to prove something, in the streets. Even if I came from the hood too, I just didn't make these decisions because I didn't want to end up in the system. I kind of already understood that I didn't want to be a statistic to the system. So it just didn't work for me. We were already oppressed just from the struggle. Why would you put yourself in the system, right? So that would be the first thing. But if you facing some time, like I said, man, getting your body together, getting under some sort of trade where you can get some sort of degree in there. You know what I mean? Find you a guard, female guard. You know what I mean? Ken, he laughing, but I'm dead serious. Yeah, find you a female guard that you could, what I'm saying, you could interact with, because you're still a man. You still need a healthy source of female interaction. You know what I mean? Something that, okay, boom, I could come to for my safe space, for a sense of sanity. You know what I mean? Even if you having a conversation with her, believe me, that conversation is going to have levels, to it, especially if she locked in, right? So, these are things that you just have to prioritize upon going in there and, get your hands superb, like, learn how to box, and take it seriously, because you're going to face that type of storm in there, So, and that's the best I could say. Like I said, I have no intent of seeing that place, But if I was to be one of the young people that is going through that, this is how I would be looking at it, right? But for the most part, if you could avoid any type of contact with the system, I think that would be the most important things for us as young men. You know what I mean? And see somehow if we could preserve the solid men that's left, you know what I mean? But to wrap this up, I appreciate y'all for one more time tapping in with us. We did a late night session here tonight.
A late night session.
You know what I mean?
For a video that lasted again almost an hour and some
change, right?
Which is really
good. Before I go, I just want to thank you guys, for taking the moment to sit with us at the Potent Perspective. You know what I mean? Like I always say, keep it P. You know what I mean? And until next time, y'all be blessed. Stay out the system, all right? Peace.
Your Honor, I speak on behalf of the lost, on behalf of the little nigga trying to get a Porsche.